G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic evening. Tonight I'm going to be doing a review of an action/thriller from South Korea, Korean language English subs, released in the year 2012, directed by Dong-Hoon, and this movie is called Thieves. And the story to the Thieves is as follows. 5 thieves at the top of their game and the crew is assembling for the biggest job yet. Popey's the muscle and brains, Pepsi's the safecracker, Yenikor climbs walls, Zampano is the strategy man, and Chewing Gum is the master of disguise. But this new score, it's hot, maybe too hot. But who can resist the tear of the sun, a 318-carat diamond worth $20 million and locked away in an underground casino vault? With a team organised by Macau Park, Popey's old partner, they gear up and stroll into the casino with a plan, skills, and a whole lot of nerve. But they quickly learn that avoiding the cops may not be their toughest problem. What's Macau Park's real motive? Who will betray them all? And who will walk away with the diamonds? So Macau Park is the main character. He is a very seedy individual who has an extensive criminal history, and he's a professional thief. So he comes up with this plan. Now the plan involves going into a casino vault and robbing it of a 318-carat diamond that's worth $20 million. So this is a job that he can't pull off himself, otherwise he'd do it. So he assembles a team of master thieves from Korea and also China. And they band together. Each thief has their own speciality. There's someone who can climb walls. There's another person who can crack safes. And there's a person with muscle, and there's also another person who is a master of disguise. So all of these thieves have been brought together for a reason, because they are the best at what they do. So Macau Park gives them the brief, and that the plans are all going to work, and that this is going to be the heist to basically send them all into retirement. But there are hidden motives, and these motives are not clear until the robbery is in motion. And this involves a lot of backstabbing, there's a lot of betrayal, and you don't know who to trust. So one of these people are going to walk away with the diamond, and each person wants to outdo the other and basically get it for themselves. So the $20 million reward is a little bit too good to split up evenly. So if you want to know how the movie unfolds and who walks away with the prize, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the film. This one does come with a lot of positives, but unfortunately the negative keeps it from being a classic. Now, when I say classic, South Korean cinema in the modern era has really set itself as one of the benchmark sort of nations. They've created stuff like I Saw the Devil, Old Boy, Bedeviled, kind of other films such as Bittersweet Life. Just too many to really name. And they've just, the standard is better, one film is better than the other, and they just keep on getting better. Now, this movie is definitely a movie that I would say go and see, especially if you're a fan of South Korean cinema. But as I said, there is this element to it that I'm going to go into a little bit later that does prevent it from being awesome. But having said that, it is very good. Now, what I love about it the most is typical of South Korean cinema. It pays a lot of respect. There is a lot of attention to detail, and the production value, the visuals are stunning. Very, very colourful and almost exaggerated to the point of a caricature, especially for this film. Now, typical South Korean cinema, the visuals are all very, very beautiful, and it just sets itself apart, and it's a trademark of South Korean movies. But this one is, as I said, when it's a caricature, the characters are exaggerated to the point where it's entertaining over realism. So if you go in there expecting a totally realistic sort of heist movie, then you're going to be very disappointed. But if you want a slightly exaggerated version of Ocean's 11, then this is definitely a movie to see. Now, the characters are all very colourful. They all stand apart from each other, so there is no laziness to the movie. Script is very good. It's also a little bit funny in some places. I wouldn't call it a comedy, but it does have humorous moments, and that's typical, once again, of South Korean cinema. Even if it doesn't bill itself as a comedy, there is still funny moments. Even in serious films like I Saw the Devil, I thought there were some humorous moments in that as well, but it doesn't try to be a comedy. It just comes naturally. So this movie had a lot of that. And as I said, you could say it's a comedy, but then again, you might not say, because the comedy is very subtle. But where the movie does excel is in the action sequences. As I said, they're exaggerated, so they're a little bit far-fetched. It kind of steps out of the realms of realism and goes into a different sort of dimension, whereas, you've got some very stunning scenes where they're chasing each other on walls. They're connected by harnesses and they're running across buildings. That look really good. But as I said, it's kind of a little bit far-fetched. So if you don't like this kind of movie, if you want something that's going to knock you over with stunning realism, this is definitely not for you. But as I said, a very, very entertaining film that does show you that there is no honor amongst thieves. And when these things start unraveling and the truths are revealed, I just thought it was really, really fun to see, what happened next, because the plot thickens and you get truths coming out of each character, and then your allegiances to each character changes throughout the film, because when you think that this guy is a good guy, a truth is revealed, and then he's all of a sudden you don't like him. Then your allegiances go to another character, but then all of a sudden you don't like him because there's another truth revealed. And it shows you that all of these thieves are just as bad as each other. And I actually thought the way it ended was very, very rewarding. The soundtrack, very, very good. As I said, everything with production is typical South Korean. Pays a lot of respect and there's a lot of attention to detail. So that's something that I can always credit a South Korean film on. Now, the problem I had with the movie is the fact that it goes for 135 minutes. Now, if a film is done well, 135 minutes shouldn't be an issue. But for me, I thought it took a little bit too long to get going. The start of the movie is a little bit complicated. It goes from flashback to present day, and it doesn't necessarily tell you when. It's not clear as to whether or not you're watching a flashback or present day material. So you're kind of getting a little bit confused. Thankfully, the build-up doesn't really have too much of an impact on the way that it's resolved. I thought the way that it was resolved was very simple, and it was the way it should have been done. And then you kind of come back to the start and you think, why was it complicated? I thought that, the complication in the storytelling was just a little bit off-putting. And I kind of felt that they could have just cut that down a little bit and got to the point a lot sooner than they actually did. So that is the only blemish I have of the film. I thought, it's a little bit confusing and they got a little bit muddled up. It's kind of that they kind of bit off a little bit more than they could chew in the first half of the film, but thankfully when things start to go wrong, it starts to get a hell of a lot of fun, and it's just really rewarding how it all unfolds because it's just carnage. But that initial build-up I thought was just a little bit out of place. I thought it was complicated for no good reason, because the way it finishes, you don't really need that complication. But having said that, I can understand that, that the time that they took in the first half was time to build the characters, and I guess that the rewarding element at the end of the film really wouldn't have worked if the character development wasn't in place. But I just thought that there were some flashback scenes and some things that happened that I didn't quite get. It's not overly complicated, but I think it was just a little bit too complicated for this style of film. So overall, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I still think it is a very good South Korean action/thriller. If you're a fan of films like Ocean's 11, this is definitely one to check out. So this is a welcome addition to anybody's South Korean cinema collection, and yeah, I found myself enjoying it quite a lot. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.